Welcome to the Bible Quiz. Today we're diving deep into the book of Acts with 25 of the most challenging New Testament puzzles to test your knowledge. Do you think you will be able to solve these interesting questions? Before we begin, remember to hit that subscribe button and give this video a like. Your support helps us share the teachings of the Bible with more people around the world. Once you've tackled these puzzles, don't forget to comment below and let us know how many you got right. We can't wait to hear about your journey through the book of Acts. Are you ready to test your understanding of the early church and the apostles' adventures? Let's get started. Question 1. Who is the cornerstone set by the builders? A. Peter. B. Jacob. C. Jesus. D. Moses. You get 10 seconds. That's C. Jesus. The cornerstone built by the builders represents Jesus Christ, as indicated in Acts chapter 4, verse 11, which says, "The stone you builders rejected, which has become the cornerstone." This image is used in the New Testament to emphasize Jesus' fundamental role in God's plan, showing that even though he was rejected, he became the center of salvation and Christian faith. Question 2. Whose shadow healed the sick? A. Paul. B. Peter. C. John. D. James. You get 10 seconds. That's B. Peter. In Acts chapter 5, verse 15, it is described that people would bring the sick into the streets so that Peter's shadow might fall on them as he passed by. This event reflects the miraculous power attributed to Peter as one of Jesus' apostles and illustrates the profound impact of the early church's leaders in performing healings and miracles. Question 3. About whom did God say, "A man after my heart, who will do all my will"? A. Job. B. Elijah. C. Isaiah. D. David. You get 10 seconds. That's D. David. God spoke these words about David, the future king of Israel. In Acts chapter 13, verse 22, the Apostle Paul references David as a man after God's own heart who would fulfill God's will. This description signifies David's unique relationship with God and his role in biblical history, despite his human flaws and mistakes. Question 4. Who brought Tabitha, Dorcas, back from the dead? A. Peter. B. Paul. C. Jesus. D. James. You get 10 seconds. That's A. Peter. In Acts chapter 9, verses 36 to 41, Tabitha, a faithful disciple known for her charitable works, became ill and died. Peter was called to Joppa, where she had been laid out in an upper room. After sending everyone out, Peter prayed, turned to the body and said, "Tabitha, get up." She opened her eyes and sat up, signifying God's power through Peter to perform miracles. Question 5. Who fell out of a window while Paul was preaching? A. Demas. B. Timothy. C. Philemon. D. Eutychus. You get 10 seconds. That's D. Eutychus. While Paul was speaking in an upper room late into the night, Eutychus, a young man, fell into a deep sleep and then fell out of a third-story window. Paul went down, embraced him, and declared that he was alive, bringing him back from what seemed to be certain death. This event highlights the dramatic experiences during Paul's ministry and his miraculous intervention. Acts chapter 20, verses 9 to 12. Your journey to never missing a quiz starts with the subscribe button. Click it now and stay connected with us. Question 6. Whom did Paul circumcise? A. Silas. B. Ananias. C. Timothy. D. Trophimus. You get 10 seconds. That's C. Timothy. In Acts chapter 16, verses 1 to 3, Timothy's mother was Jewish, but his father was Greek. To avoid any controversy among the Jewish believers and to make Timothy more acceptable in his ministry with Paul, Paul circumcised him. This act illustrates Paul's flexibility and willingness to meet cultural and religious expectations to further the spread of the gospel. Question 7. Who said, "I appeal to Caesar"? A. Paul. B. John. C. Peter. D. Jesus. You get 10 seconds. That's A. Paul. During Paul's trial before Festus in Caesarea, Paul exercised his right as a Roman citizen to appeal to Caesar for judgment. This statement led to Paul's transfer to Rome, where he would ultimately stand trial. This appeal demonstrates Paul's knowledge of Roman law and his determination to use legal rights to advance his mission. Acts chapter 25, verse 11. Question 8. Which Jewish sect did Paul belong to before he was converted? A. Essenes. B. Pharisees. C. Sadducees. D. Not known. You get 10 seconds. That's B. Pharisees. In Acts chapter 23, verse 6, Paul openly declares his background as a Pharisee, emphasizing his strict adherence to the Jewish law before his encounter with Jesus on the road to Damascus. This affiliation reflects the religious context of the time and provides insight into Paul's dramatic transformation and zeal for spreading the gospel after his conversion. Question 9. In which city did a silversmith named Demetrius rally rebels against Paul? A. Troas. B. Corinth. C. Miletus. D. Ephesus. You get 10 seconds. That's D. Ephesus. Demetrius, concerned about the impact of Paul's teachings on the local trade of silver shrines dedicated to the goddess Artemis, stirred up the local craftsmen and sparked a riot. Acts chapter 19, verses 24 to 28. This event demonstrates the opposition Paul faced during his missionary journeys and the disruptive effect his message had on established religious and economic practices. Question 10. Who was Agabus? A. King. B. Prophet. C. Apostle. D. Tax collector. You get 10 seconds. That's B. Prophet. In Acts chapter 11, verse 28, Agabus predicted a great famine that would occur throughout the Roman world, prompting the early church to prepare and provide support for believers in need. Later, in Acts chapter 21, verses 10 to 11, he prophesied that Paul would be bound and handed over to the Gentiles if he went to Jerusalem. These events illustrate Agabus's role as a prophetic voice and his impact on the early church's decisions. Question 11. Who saved Peter from Herod's prison? A. Paul. B. John. C. An angel. D. Cornelius. You get 10 seconds. That's C, an angel. According to Acts chapter 12, verses 7 to 10, Peter was imprisoned by King Herod, and the church was praying for him. An angel appeared, awakened Peter, and led him out of the prison, passing through locked gates without being detected. This miraculous escape demonstrates divine intervention in the early church and underscores the church's reliance on prayer and God's protection. Question 12. Which prophet prophesied the day of Pentecost? A. Joel. B. Micah. C. Isaiah. D. Hosea. You get 10 seconds. That's A. Joel. In Acts chapter 2, verses 16 to 17, the Apostle Peter quotes the prophecy in Joel 2:28-32 to explain the events that occurred on the day of Pentecost, where the Holy Spirit was poured out and descended upon the disciples, leading to speaking in tongues and other miracles signal. This prophecy indicates the fulfillment of God's promise and the beginning of a new era in God's relationship with humanity. Question 13. Who was in jail with Paul at Philippi? A. John. B. Peter. C. Silas. D. Barnabas. You get 10 seconds. That's C. Silas. Paul and Silas were imprisoned together in Philippi, where they were beaten and placed in stocks. Despite their circumstances, they prayed and sang hymns, leading to an earthquake that opened the prison doors and loosened their bonds. This event resulted in the conversion of the jailer and his household, illustrating the power of faith in God's miraculous intervention. Acts chapter 16, verse 25. Question 14. Who kept the garments of those who stoned Stephen to death? A. John. B. Paul. C. Peter. D. Nicodemus. You get 10 seconds. That's B. Paul. In Acts chapter 7, verse 58, as Stephen, the first Christian martyr, was stoned to death, Saul, who later became the Apostle Paul, stood by, watching over the coats of those who carried out the execution. This event marked Saul's involvement in the persecution of early Christians, leading to his dramatic conversion on the road to Damascus. Question 15. What did Peter see inside the great sheet that descended from heaven during his vision? A. Oil. B. A scroll. C. A woman. D. All kinds of animals. You get 10 seconds. That's D. All kinds of animals. Peter had a vision in which a large sheet was lowered from heaven, containing various creatures, including some considered unclean under Jewish law. A voice told him to kill and eat, signaling that what God has cleansed should no longer be called unclean. This vision paved the way for Peter's understanding of the inclusion of Gentiles in God's plan, leading to the baptism of Cornelius and his household. Acts chapter 10, verses 11 to 12. Question 16. Who was eaten by worms because he did not give God the glory? A. Herod. B. Judas. C. Pilate. D. Ananias. You get 10 seconds. That's A. Herod. Acts chapter 12, verses 21 to 23. During a public address, the people praised Herod as a god, and he did not refute them or give glory to God. As a result, an angel of the Lord struck him down, and he died, eaten by worms. This event serves as a powerful reminder of the consequences of pride and failing to acknowledge God's authority. Question 17. Who cured the crippled man in Lystra? A. Peter. B. Paul. C. Jesus. D. Stephen. You get 10 seconds. That's B. Paul. In Acts chapter 14, verses 8 to 10, Paul noticed a man who had been crippled from birth and, seeing that he had faith to be healed, told him to stand up. The man leaped up and walked, causing great amazement among the people of Lystra. This miraculous healing demonstrated the power of faith and served as an opportunity for Paul to preach the gospel to the Gentiles. Question 18. Who was the Jewish spokesman who accused Paul? A. Festus. B. Nicolaus. C. Tertullus. D. Alexander. You get 10 seconds. That's C. Tertullus. Tertullus, a lawyer, was hired by the Jewish leaders to present their case against Paul before the Roman governor, Felix. Tertullus accused Paul of causing riots among the Jews and desecrating the temple, seeking to secure a conviction. This event underscores the legal challenges Paul faced during his ministry and the concerted efforts by some Jewish leaders to hinder the spread of Christianity. Acts chapter 24, verses 1 to 9. Question 19. Who was numbered along with the 11 apostles? A. Luke. B. Joseph. C. Stephen. D. Matthias. You get 10 seconds. That's D. Matthias. After the death of Judas Iscariot, the apostles sought to fill his position to maintain their number at 12. Matthias was chosen by casting lots, indicating that he was God's choice to join the apostles in their mission. This event demonstrates the early church's commitment to maintaining the apostolic tradition and highlights the significance of apostolic authority in spreading the gospel. Acts chapter 1, verses 23 to 26. Question 20. For how many days was Paul blinded after meeting Jesus on the way to Damascus? A. 1. B. 3. C. 5. D. 7. You get 10 seconds. That's B. 3. In Acts chapter 9, verses 8 to 9, following his dramatic encounter with Jesus, Paul, then known as Saul, lost his sight and was led by hand into Damascus. For 3 days, he remained without sight and did not eat or drink. This period of blindness reflects the profound transformation Paul underwent as he transitioned from a persecutor of Christians to a devoted follower of Jesus. Question 21. Who touched handkerchiefs and aprons that were then used to heal the sick and cast out demons? A. Paul. B. John. C. Peter. D. Jesus. You get 10 seconds. That's A. Paul. In Acts chapter 19, verses 11 to 12, God performed extraordinary miracles through Paul. Even the handkerchiefs and aprons that touched him were used to heal and drive away diseases and evil spirits. This remarkable event shows God's divine power through Paul and the extraordinary impact of his ministry in Ephesus and beyond. Question 22. For how long did King Saul reign? A. 15. B. 25. C. 30. D. 40. You get 10 seconds. That's D. 40. In Acts chapter 13, verse 21, the Apostle Paul mentions that the Israelites asked for a king, and God gave them Saul, son of Kish, of the tribe of Benjamin, who reigned for 40 years. Saul was the first king of Israel, and his reign marked the beginning of the monarchy in Israel, transitioning from the era of judges to the era of kings. Question 23. Paul was shipwrecked on what island? A. Malta. B. Akron. C. Bethel. D. Hebron. You get 10 seconds. That's A. Malta. After suffering a fierce storm at sea, Paul's ship was wrecked and all on board washed ashore on the coast of Malta. Despite the difficulties, this led to miraculous events and the spread of the gospel among the people of Malta, proving that even in challenging circumstances, St. Paul continued his mission. Acts chapter 28, verse 1. Question 24. Who shook a snake off into the fire? A. John. B. Peter. C. Paul. D. Timothy. You get 10 seconds. That's C. Paul. After Paul was shipwrecked on the island of Malta, he was gathering firewood when a viper came out and bit him on the hand. Acts chapter 28, verses 3 to 5. The locals expected him to swell up and die, but Paul simply shook the snake off into the fire and suffered no harm. This miraculous event helped to establish Paul's divine protection and led to greater acceptance of his message among the people on the island. Question 25. Who saw Jesus standing at the right hand of God? A. Paul. B. Peter. C. Matthias. D. Stephen. You get 10 seconds. That's D. Stephen. In Acts chapter 7, verses 55 to 56, as he was being stoned to death, Stephen, the first Christian martyr, looked up to heaven and saw the glory of God and Jesus standing at his right hand. He declared this vision to those around him, affirming his faith and commitment to Jesus even in the face of death. Oh, what an amazing journey through the book of Acts, putting your knowledge of the New Testament to the test. How did you do? Whether you got them all right or discovered something new, remember that the Acts of the Apostles are full of remarkable stories and profound teachings, always ready for us to explore. If you enjoyed this challenge, please give the video a thumbs up and share it with your friends and family. Invite them to join in on this challenging biblical adventure. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more quizzes and deeper biblical insights. We truly appreciate your feedback, so let us know in the comments how you scored, along with any thoughts or suggestions for future quizzes. Together, we can continue to dive into the richness of the New Testament. Thank you for joining us today, and may you be blessed as you continue your journey through the Bible. See you in the next video.